BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Hello everybody, let's have a look at Bitcoin after the halving. What's happened then since the halving? Well, nothing actually at all. What a load of shite. Well, not at all really. It was a non-event, at least it didn't dump. It certainly hasn't pumped, but it's done now. It is what it is, and all we've got left are the charts once again. Not exactly, we don't really know what those blokes in the Middle East are intending on doing to each other, so there is always that, but at least the halving's out the way now, and it's proven to be the non-event. And so let's focus on the chart then. Now there's two things I wanted to show you. There's only really two things that's worth talking about this morning. One of them is the same thing we've been saying for the last 3 days, which is that Bitcoin is wanting to make a death cross retest on the 4-hourly. Came close to that yesterday, so we talked about that a couple of days ago. Yeah, yesterday we reiterated it. We saw it move up to the top of this range and rejected. It still has further to run if it wanted to. 66,000 or just less. 67,200 thereabouts. Basically death cross retest and a death cross retest of either a simple or an exponential moving average. All of that perfectly fine, more than acceptable, and based on what we're seeing right now, we've got support on the center of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hourly, so that's good. Makes this a relatively strong support now, $63,000, strong support, and then resistance, resistance, resistance. So that is the situation with Bitcoin. There's nothing much more to say about it than that. That's what I was trying to put across on the stream last night. There's validation and invalidation to any trade, right? So invalidation of the resistance would be a break and a support above resistance. Invalidation of support would be a break and a retest and going lower. But as of this very moment in time, 20 to 9, Saturday morning, that's how it looks to me. And, you know, as far as I can say, it's doing exactly what I expected over the last couple of days. So, exactly as expected. No different. The plan remains the same on the short-term timeframes. Higher-term timeframes, well, we just got resistances above us, haven't we? All moving averages are now above us. Each one of these offers a resistance all the way up to 66,700 really. So even the 4-hourly has higher areas to be rejected from than the daily. So recognize what I'm saying. There's a lot of resistance above us. But now the halving's out the way, you know, we might and could possibly be able to recover. I mean, that move yesterday, look at that wick. Big buyback wick with a green closure. It's actually a good look. It might not feel like it, but it is a good look for it. So, look, I'm undecided. I'm not particularly interested in selecting a certain bias. Not enough to trade over the weekend. I'm not going to be around today anyway. I'm going to be out with the kids. Last thing I want to be doing is focusing on my phone. That's for a weekday. To sit around trading weekends, there's no capacity to do it for me, and that's what the hodls are for. Like I say, I'm very much into and up for the idea of hodling. Hodls are great. Almost all of my hodls, apart from Algorand, to be honest with you, are up. So I'm only down on one particular hodl of all the hodls that I still hodl. And picking up more hodls, I was saying on the Patreon live stream last night that, you know, this isn't a bad place to start dollar cost averaging if you intend to hodl towards the end of a cycle. Be prepared for further downside, obviously, but do you expect it to go higher than the price it is today? If so, that's a buy and it's a hodl. I'm starting to dollar cost average process into some of those altcoins. I don't think it's a perfect place to do it. Absolutely not. No one knows the perfect place. This is something you always got to understand and recognise, and I'm sure you do, because the people who tune into me like reality. They don't come here for hopium or any kind of other sort of just disingenuous commentary on crypto. You come here because you want to know at least a little bit of what is not so much likely to happen, but the reality of what it is to trade and make money. Anyway, so that was that. There's nothing much more to say about that. But what I wanted to show you is this. Now, in the bear market, this was your bear market here that started 2020 and dragged everything, crypto and stocks, everything all went down. Throughout this process, we managed to do a 1, 2, and a 3, everything bounces is what we called them. Each one of these was a pretty sweet move, and we got them all. You can rewind back onto my videos if you wanted to, and you'll see that I called each one of these. Now, I'm not saying this to say, oh, genius. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to put across here is that, yeah, you can trade a downtrend successfully. A bear market is not an easy place to trade. It can be done. We did it 3 times on stocks and only 2 times on crypto because, unfortunately, the third everything bounce was working for everything, including crypto, and then FTX ruined it. So what I'm saying is all markets are tied together. The correlation is high, much higher than it's ever been. And if we're going to get a bounce and everything bounce on stocks, we're going to get it now. Now, obviously, this is Saturday, isn't it? So, and again, invalidation of a trade. So we're looking at this on a weekly S&P. We've come down to a 20 moving average and a 21 exponential moving average. This is the center of a Bollinger Band. This is where anyone in their right mind would give it their best shot to pick up an asset for, well, we'll call it an investment. Not an easy quick trade, but it's a very strong support that offers a significant dip buy. And this is where it is. This is where it is. Now, we've been brought down here naturally and also unnaturally because of things that were taking place in other countries. But we are here now. Not only that, so this is what I was trying to sort of, and I did communicate it much better last night. Mornings are not my strong point here. I'm a bit, I've not even barely touched my coffee here, but what I was trying to put across is there's many different types of traders, and there's investors also, and they operate on different time frames because of the risk to reward on those time frames. If you were like a investor or I suppose a more patient trader, this is something that you'd really look at hard and go, right, okay, we've had a nice dip. I'm prepared to buy this because Bollinger Bands are more likely to bounce than they are to break down. And weeklies, although they can take their time, are more likely to offer more back. This isn't a scalp trade. This is a decent entry point which should, over time, continue on to make new highs, all-time highs, and higher highs after that. So, educated guess is that this is a good place to try that position on the S&P because you're 65% more likely to bounce from here than to break down. So the odds are in favour of a bounce here. Might not be a bounce to a new local high to begin with, but it certainly would be a bounce. Now the daily isn't really offering anything like that. The daily is saying, well, I'm in free fall and I've got further to fall and I could fall all the way down to 4,700 before I find any kind of significant bounce. And that would be based on this horizontal and also 200 exponential moving average. So the daily is neither here nor there. But the 4-hourly is offering a golden cross retest. After a golden cross, it's the first time we will have come down to a 200 exponential or a simple on the 4-hourly since receiving that golden cross here. Sorry, it wasn't there, it was here and here. So we've not received any pullback into those areas since that happened. So this attracts a different type of trader altogether. This attracts a short-term trader, one who applies leverage. So that is a whole other bag of degenerative traders that are like, yeah, risk to reward is good here. We've come all the way down to a major area of significance. I'm going to try that. So you got the higher term time frames meets the shorter term time frames coming both down to a significant area, which suggests to me a big bounce on the S&P. Now, because we haven't dumped and died for Bitcoin after this halving, and look, we can easily get a rejection over the weekend, bush, that would be fine, and I'd actually welcome that. Come Monday, and I think Monday we're going to see a bounce on these stocks, and I would go as far as to call it an everything bounce. So that would be S&P, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, cryptocurrency maybe. I think that will be the case, right? I'm up for that. That's what that sort of setup says to me. And so regardless of the halving, regardless of the death cross, regardless of price action on Bitcoin, wherever it may be, I think it's going to trend up or move up through association with that big bounce on stocks next week. Unless, of course, the boys from the other countries start shouting at each other again and something else happens. We're trading this, with our blinkers on, looking at the charts and only the charts. We're not entertaining any of this fundamental FUD that's taking place globally about anything anymore. We're literally just looking at the charts here. So if it all dumps on Monday because someone said something to someone or someone did something to someone, that's not that the charts were wrong. The charts were absolutely right. It's because that happened. So recognise that. And again, just because we're at major support doesn't mean it will hold. And this isn't going to happen until Monday. It probably won't really happen until Monday afternoon UK time when the American market's open. However, we will get heads up on it on the pre-market, and the pre-market will give us some idea as to how it's all going to take place. But as far as the S&P or SPX is concerned, this is a good setup really for an everything bounce, which should take crypto with it. So that is my best guess as to how all assets are going to behave next week, right? So what's going to take place this weekend for Bitcoin, I can't tell. Not sure quite yet. We looked at a lot of altcoins last night, and the 4-hourlies did appear to be in an accumulation pattern on the lower term timeframes, and some of those, and I mean, I say some of them, a great deal of them were offering awesome moves, between 10 and 20%. This is what we're doing. This is what the Patreon's all about, guys. You need to sign up. This is what we do. But I was hesitant to call any kind of guarantees on that because the halving was going to take place like 5 hours after the stream. So I said, look, whatever happens, with the halving will give us a better idea. But yeah, since then we've woke up and XRP is sort of trending up a bit now. And XRP is just an example of many of how these altcoins are performing on the 4-hourly. Accumulation, 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 accumulation. So we're at our first level of resistance now. If we burst out of here, we're moving into around 56, 57 cents. Lots and lots of altcoins look like this. Not all of them. No altcoins created equal, but lots of them looks like this. So that is the case, and you think about that, you think, all right, break from here, measured move, 9, 10%, 11%. That's just for XRP. Like I say, there was loads of them. We identified some actually really good long-term buys from just slightly lower from where we are right now on certain altcoins like VeChain. I was very excited to see, and there's a few of them. I can't remember now. So again, it's still early, but there was a few that we saw that were like, yes, these are very attractive long-term, and for hundreds of percent. VeChain sticks out in my mind because it's something I'd never really considered for myself, and obviously looking at it last night with you guys, I was like, yes, absolutely going to pick some of that up. I just want to get it 25% off where it is right now. I'd like to pick it up around the 3-cent zone. Anyway, I'm boring you to death, rambling and stuff, but what I'm saying is that this weekend can see some upside on altcoins to the tune of 10 to 20%, because that's how they're positioned right now. But coming into next week, regardless of what happens over the weekend, S&P stocks want to bounce. They want to bounce hard, and I believe that they will. And with that bounce, we'll carry everything with it. So long as there's nothing that isolates crypto from the pack, and it moves like it did in the last bear market, which is the everything bounce part 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3, and then obviously this is where we bought in big time, lots of stocks when we recognise that yes, we've not just broken out, but we've retested and we're going up. And this is where basically my pension pot was overexposed to the max, but it's perfectly fine to overexpose yourself when you've got a good fix on the market. Since then, 30% move up just on the S&P. Never mind all the individual stocks that rallied super hard. Meta, big one of mine. So Meta, CleanSpark, Coinbase, epic long-term positions. So anyway, it's nothing's set in stone, nothing's guaranteed, but we are looking for an everything bounce next week and markets to resume their upside potential. Whether they go to a new all-time high is a different story, but an everything bounce is absolutely on the cards. And we'll just have to monitor crypto and Bitcoin throughout this weekend to either allocate positions that are acceptable right now or allocate positions that are acceptable Monday morning. Right, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Please like the video at this stage, because apparently that's good for the algorithm. Leave a comment as well, because there's so many other YouTubers out there that basically provide pure crap and get more likes, because it sounds good. I'm trying to provide you with decent information here. Not so much to set up in a signal that I'm not a pump group. but at least a handle on the market, an appropriate viewpoint that I suppose is going to help, because you can only make money if you are in tune with reality, and that is the only way to trade markets. If you're looking at markets with completely unrealistic eyes and expectations, you're not going to realize any real profits. To be honest with you, you're most likely going to get stung. So try to gravitate towards people like me and others that at least recognize that markets are only offering opportunities, then there's no guarantees. And I'm not spoon feeding you 100x shitcoins that won't provide you anything other than pain. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Everything bounce next week. Very, 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 very strong possibility that it'll happen. No guarantees, but a very strong possibility that markets will move up, counter to what the bears might think. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.